Hey, Kevin Guthrie here with another recording of Invincible You. We have a guest in the studio. Again, we have the lovely Kari Olen-Porthouse. Welcome, Kari.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for being here. Yet again, this is our third recording.
It is, yeah.
I love recording with you. So, for people that haven't tapped into these recordings before, tell the listener a little bit about what you do, who you are and what you do.
I am a choir director and vocal coach. So I run a large community choir, usually in Luttrell Hall, West Bridgford in Nottingham, but obviously currently online. There's about 100 people in that choir. I also run the ICU Liberty Singers, which is a choir for critical care workers in the NHS, and they meet every fortnight. And I've got a very small choir called the Liberty Bells, who we used to record in my friend's hair salon because it was nice in there with the tiles. It makes good acoustics. But obviously, again, we're online. So I have this idea in my head that we all feel a bit better when we sing. And for some reason, this is amplified enormously when we sing together. So I like to think of myself as somebody going around spreading little pockets of joy wherever I can. And I'm particularly interested at the moment in workplaces and connecting workplaces, which are quite fragmented at the moment, or lots of people working from home.
Absolutely. How did your journey take you to your current position where you have the choirs and you're delivering into workplace? What brought you to this place now?
I was a primary school teacher, and I ran a community choir for parents within the school alongside the kids choir. And there was always a plan. I had a plan after I'd had my second child that we were going to move up to Nottingham and I was going to run choirs for a living. I hadn't quite banked on the community choir being so enormous. My previous one had 40. This one, at one point we had 157 one night. That was a long tea break that night. Yeah. It went on and on. But I knew this was something that I was good at doing, and I knew I was able to do it. And I don't actually class myself as a singer, but I do know how to run a very good choir. I've got a musical background. I play clarinet, I play piano, I can arrange harmonies, I can hear harmonies where they aren't or they shouldn't be necessarily. So I do create all my own arrangements. And I appear to be very good at getting people into the right frame of mind to do it. And it's enormously confidence building. I could tell you over and over and over again the stories that people have told me about how it's affected their life. What? Singing on a Monday, with me in a hall has changed your life, and people will actually say that it has, because it's about so much more than the singing. It's about the community. It's about building and strengthening those relationships.
Why do you think that happens? What is it about music that has such a profound effect on people?
There are some very strange things happen when you sing together. I had a singing lesson once with a lady, and we sang something together, and we hit the same pitch, and there was something in the air. It was like a vibration that matched. And the only thing I can liken it to is when you see somebody and really fancy them, and you get that kind of feeling. And we both looked at each other and went, what was that? It was ever so strange, and it was purely from singing at the same time. Now, this is a bit more diluted when you've got lots of people, but there's this shared goal that we've got something right. And the vibrations of the sound, it does something. It's a little bit magic. And you can see people glance across the room and just a little nod to their friends somewhere else. Now, this is not quite the same when we're online together, because obviously I can't hear anybody sing when we're online. The gaps in internet speeds and stuff. Have you ever tried to sing with anybody online? Oh, it is. It's an absolute disaster. So I needed to put them together, doing virtual recordings to give them a sense of purpose and bringing them back together. And this magic still happens. The first couple of times I played back on Zoom, here's the edit that we've done. There's 50 voices on it. They're your voices. I take mine off. This is what you sound like. And there are tears. And there's this sense of, I did that. That's us. We spend a lot of our rehearsals with the community choir, particularly. Like tonight, for example, we're having a bit of a throwback and we're going back to some old rehearsal recordings that we'll sing along with. And it's us. And it just takes us back to, we used to stand in that hall. Oh, there goes a car in the background. Do you remember that? Yeah. And it's got this magic to it. I can't really explain it. It's very odd.
So we've kind of tapped into this before, and it feels like there's two elements to what you do in particular. So music has a profound effect on who we are because of the vibrations and because it connects into the mind, which we'll go into a little bit later on. But the one thing that you talk about a lot is the community and the social aspect to it, which is like, it feels like it's so important. We are social animals. If we go back to caveman days, which we talk about a lot, then we would hunt in packs and we would live in like little tiny communities. So, and it feels like in some way we've lost part of that, over the last year. So we are kind of like, we're recording this in March 2021. How do you feel it has helped people still having something like what you deliver?
A lot of people have said it's been a total lifeline, particularly people who've had to shield, and they've got this one thing to look forward to. And particularly, we started on Facebook Live, so you couldn't see anybody. But we also have a very active Facebook group where, I will talk to them. I will ask questions about stuff. I'll do polls. Today we're talking about International Women's Day. It's this inclusion. People still feel very much a part of it. When we're together, we'll all wear our choir T-shirts. Just because it's a little uniform. It's a little thing that sticks us together and makes us feel a bit special. And it's quite nice that there are groups within the choir of communities, like micro communities. There's a group of ladies who they've all had their children together, and they're an NCT, and their kids are teenagers now, and they all arrived together. And when we were allowed in the summer, when we had the restrictions were a bit slacker, they met in a garden, socially distanced, and put me on the laptop on the table. And sang along together. So it's keeping those little things going. And there are a few of these little spin-off pockets going. Yeah, it's lovely.
Just that connection, isn't it? What do you love about your job?
It's just joy, absolute joy. The look on people's faces when they get it right, the sound they make, the things they say to me, the things they say to each other. They are incredibly supportive. So many people said, there is no way I would stand up in a pub and sing on my own. I'll do it with this lot, but I'm not going to do it on my own. I remember one of our ladies, she arrived at a gig. She was late. This is a long time ago, and she was very late. And she sort of snuck in, sorry, and sort of stood there and carried on singing. And I got to her at the end and said, why are you here? Her father had died the weekend before. And she said, no, I needed to be here. I needed my friends, I needed to sing, and I was so miserable at home, and I got myself up and I came out, and it was the best thing. And it's that when you start a community choir, it's at least 50% community and 50% choir, at least, possibly more actually.
You said earlier that you weren't a singer. You didn't class yourself as a singer, yet you knew that you could pull people together and lead and hear the harmonies and all of those kind of acute abilities that you have. How did you know that you could do that?
I started with primary school choirs, so kids choirs,
okay.
Junior school age, and I had 3 or 4 of those, and they were good. My choirs were good, and we used to do sort of county-wide events and things, and people would come and say, "Oh, you're not good." And then I thought I'll have a go with the parents. And that was a great success. And I thought, no, I can definitely do this. To me, it doesn't make any difference to me if I'm teaching 5 people, 50 people, or 500. It's the same sort of level of energy. It's slightly, I don't know what I'm going to do when we go back to life, and I haven't got my mute all button. It's very handy. Occasionally, if my lot are being really rowdy, I have a bell. I ring this bell. I used to take it on school trips. The bell of behaviour. So don't you make me get that bell out and show you up in front of everybody.
And now they have the bell of behaviour.
Yes, quite. But it's this facilitating and telling people, you can do this. I run a vocal coaching program as well at the moment, which is 6 sessions over 3 months. I've got 8 ladies on that, and they're literally they're just ready to go to the next level of their singing. Yeah. And I can work out who's going to apply to come on this course, because the recordings that they send me, and it's not about the actual recording they've sent, it's the email that goes with it that says, I've tried this 30 times and it still sounds awful. Well, I want you to feel better about your voice. So we coach together. We make again another micro community of lovely people who are very, very chatty with each other, and they've got this shared sort of goal. I make them sing on their own in front of each other, which is just apparently the worst and yet the best thing. And they make progress. And it's not, you need to be at this level and I'm going to get you to that level. I want you to feel a bit happier with the way you sing and how you sound. And it works. And I saw them last night. They're so lovely.
I think I might have asked you this question before, but I'm really interested to ask you again, because I think it'd be interesting for the listener to hear the answer. Am I right have I heard corrected by somebody once saying that everybody can sing? We just sometimes need to be taught how. Yeah.
So obviously some people are nicer to listen to than others, Yeah. Okay. But if you can speak, you can sing.
Right. Okay.
And if you are a weaker singer, and then this probably comes down to confidence, not actual vocal technique. If you stick yourself in the middle of a load of people who know what they're doing, you will gravitate towards what they're doing.
Yeah.
There are people that are quite tone deaf and need a lot of support, but that's more about the actual listening to themselves than the singing. I teach my singers to put their finger just by their ear and block it, because then you can hear your own voice.
Right.
So when they're stood in rehearsal live with their finger in their ear, it's not because they're being rude to the person next to them. Or sometimes it's quite a wise move. I used to have a singing group in my house, and the ladies singing. It's only 6 people, so the ladies singing the sopranos. Sopranos are always loud because high frequency notes, that the sound waves are short, so they're louder. They appear louder to hear. So we used to sing in the kids' playroom, and we'd make her go and stand by the front door because that balance. That's amazing. That sounds so much better. Because you're trying to get a soprano to sing quietly. Anybody out there who knows anything about singing will know that it's very tricky to ask a soprano to sing quietly. It's great when I'm mixing because I can just turn them all down. So I've veered off the question, haven't I?
It's fine. It's absolutely fine. I want to look at the connection between music and mental health, because obviously, and these podcasts are all about kind of self-improvement and people growing. So in terms of mental health, it feels like there's 2 distinct areas with music. There's the community kind of cohesion and people kind of connecting on that level. In terms of the sound, and you kind of tapped into it a little bit there when you talked about frequency. I'm throwing this question at you, and be completely honest. What do you know about frequencies and the mind, and how the frequencies of different music tap in?
I don't know much about that, actually. I know about the chemicals in the brain that get released, that singing decreases cortisol. And serotonin raises, so all the feel-good stuff gets promoted, and all the kind of stressy stuff gets sort of put to one side. But it's quite a mindful activity, singing. It's very difficult to be distracted by the noise of the world when you're busy singing your own tune.
Yeah.
I would like to know more, actually, about the actual frequencies. I mean, there's definitely some emotional connection to stuff. There must be a song. What's your song? Something that comes on the radio or you hear and you instantly go, oh, because it takes you back somewhere, somehow.
One of mine's by Yazoo. There's I listened to Yazoo quite a lot because I was a teenager. That was my band. That was my music. And and I can't remember which one it is, but there's a song that as soon as I hear it, there's just like my body lights up, and I'm like, oh my God, there's that song again.
I get it with Born Slippy by Underworld.
Right.
It's a massive raving track, and the sensation it makes me feel sick. It's so good.
Yeah.
I'll go, oh, and stop whatever I'm doing. And I've said for a long time, this song's amazing, but it would never make a choir song. It will never make a choir song. Well, guess what?
You've done it.
I'm telling secrets now. I've managed to get four very brave ladies to agree to help me record a very obscure version of it, because it's got no tune.
Yeah.
It's all on one note. So I've created a 5-part harmony version.
Oh, wow.
We have a little messenger group that we talk on called Lager Lager Lager. And this is one of the lovely things about my job. I get to pick a song that I really, really like. I get to arrange it for the voices I know I've got. I record it at home. If it sounds okay, it usually sounds okay when I've done it. So if it sounds okay when I've done it, it's going to sound so much more than okay when they get their tonsils around it. And I literally, I mean, I've got them to sing Just Like Heaven by The Cure. That's another one. I think The Cure was my band.
Yeah. No,
And I can,
I like The Cure as well.
just, in fact, I was dreaming last night that I had a record deal with Robert Smith. I've just remembered my dream. Oh.
That was Robert Smith of Big Black Hair, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Big
still
Black
is.
Hair.
Still is.
Is he still going?
Yeah. We saw them 2 years ago. We saw them in Dublin, and the year before that, we saw them at Hyde Park on their 40th anniversary. Oh, it was amazing. 60,000 people.
They were great. The Cure.
Oh, they still are, and they play and play and play and play, and you'll do a good 2 or 3 hours without batting an eyelid.
Yeah.
And they're all knocking on.
just a little bit. Just going back to frequencies, there's something around frequencies, and there's an app that I use to kind of meditate to, and it's called Brainwaves, and there's like Meta and I can only think of one. There's different frequencies, and different frequencies do different things in the brain. But when you think about the body, is the body 60-70% water? And water, we know that sound kind of like when sound goes into water, it vibrates. So for me, if we look at that and we look at music and we look at choirs, it's doing something to the body. Do you know what I mean? We can look at it. We can look at the dopamine and the serotonin and all of that that's being released, but there has to be some sort of connection between the fact that we are mostly water and then the vibrations that creates, and the different types of vibrations you get with different types of music, I guess.
Yeah.
Some of it's very soothing and calming, but then did I read once about music that has a heavy bass to it is really good for gym work because it releases something different in the brain that is very good for. Or is it? Oh no, it wasn't gym work. It was it about creativity? I can't remember. That was a useless piece of information there because I can't remember what it was. But there's something about bass, deep bass, and I love deep bass, and I particularly love deep bass in the gym.
I had bass guitar for Christmas. I love it.
What a fantastic Christmas present. But we just know that there's a lot of physical kind of outcomes from music. It's just amazing, isn't it?
Well, it does mean your skin tingles, your hair stand on end. There's definitely something physical happening, and that is highlighted when everybody gets everything right. We've got certain songs where there's just a point where something will go. Now, trying to get this virtually to be similar.
Yeah.
So, for example, we're singing a choral version of With or Without You, and tonight is the final teach before they do their recordings, and I've got to be really, really picky about gaps between words. When you've got lots of people sing together, they tend to blur things. So, and if it blurs, it all gets a bit muddy and then it starts to drag. So to keep it lively, they've got to have some articulation in there. Yeah. And when we're all together, I can keep that. But when they're apart, I can't. So they have to watch me conducting on a video while they do their recording to keep them in time. And it does work because the first couple of recordings we did, I didn't do videos. And they were muddier.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and I want that spine tingle. I want them to have that spine tingle. I want them to be able to send this MP3 off to their families and go, I'm in my choir and we did this. And they go, oh, cracky, that's really good.
I guess when you think about it psychologically, so psychologically, we might hear a piece of music that really connects or resonates with our body. And then we get this, like, it'll create a neuroconnector in the mind. Then when we listen to that, when we hear the same kind of music, like my Yuzu track, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line, it's still, the neuroconnector is still there. So it just like ignites the neuroconnector, doesn't it? So for me, it feels like it starts off with a physical sensation of a piece of music. And then we end up with this neuroconnector that then takes us back. And I'm wondering with your choirs, there'll be a lot of neuroconnections made and a lot of
making new memories.
Serotonin. Yeah.
they'll be making new memories for songs.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I'll do a song and somebody go, I really don't like that song at all. It reminds me of this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Well, but make a new memory, new memory with us. So now a lot of our songs, when people hear them, go, oh, I was in Sainsbury's and they were playing Sweet Disposition on the stereo, and I harmonised with my trolley all the way around the shop. And they've made a new little memory of it because it's taken them back to choir. It's taken them back to what they know.
When you go into corporate settings, what's your aim?
Very similar. It's another pocket of joy. But what I like about corporate settings is that when everybody arrives, I used to go into Hillary's at down at Colic. But when they arrive there, nobody knows or cares if you are the CEO, the head of finance, one of the machinists, or the lady in the canteen. And it doesn't matter. I've got no idea who these people are. But largely, they haven't got a clue who each other are either. Yeah. And I know there were two ladies there who said, oh, I saw you the other week across the shop floor, and they're doing a few dance moves that I taught them. Oh, yeah, and it's this recognition and this, well, we do the same thing. And it made friendships. Yeah. It cements the ones that are already there, and it creates new ones, and it breaks down barriers. So, normally you wouldn't dare speak to the chief exec's PA because she's the chief exec's PA. But actually, when you happen to be stood next to her, she's the person singing the same part as you. So you've got a connection. And it does. I mean, it's the same with the community choir. We've got somebody who works in a shop stood next to a consultant from the local hospital, and it just doesn't matter. Half the time, nobody knows because it's not relevant.
I wonder as well whether there's something in there around the being in a vulnerable, because if I was to step into a choir now, there would be a period of vulnerability for me because I'd be stepping in something that I haven't done before, definitely not done it. So I wonder if, as well whether there's this human connection around. We're all in this vulnerable situation together. We're all being a little bit brave. We're all going to sing for the first time in front of each other. So there's connections there as well, isn't there?
Well, I mean, that's obviously lessened at the moment because nobody can hear you singing while we're on Zoom.
Yeah.
But I can assure you, if you turned up at my community choir, you would be mobbed because anytime we get any gentleman through the door, the lady goes, oh, it's a man. We're so desperate for male voices. We even had Bring a Bloke week one week.
Did it work?
Yeah, if you bring a bloke, you get him free. So does your bloke. Just get him. We had a lot of that night, and that's all about balance. So the shape of a gentleman's voice box is completely different. So if you sang exactly the same note as me, we are going to sound different because of the shape of your voice box, and it's got a resonance and a depth and a colour to it that I just need a few more, really. And I've got one gentleman in my choir. We call him Purple Dave. He's the bass. I ring him up and go, can you sing this part for me? Because I've got a good range. I've got a very good range, but I just cannot get the bass parts out. I'm a lady, so I can't do that.
What do you think the resistance is with men?
Would you walk into a hall full of 120 women on your own? It's scary. Yeah. Male voice choirs are quite a thing. I went to sing with a male voice choir, actually. I went to visit as a guest and then said, okay, they said, well, we're going to sing this song to you. So, can I sing it? Huh? Can you sing the tenor part? Yeah. I've got a low voice.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So I did. But it's lovely. It hits you somewhere here in the solar plexus, that resonance from the men. I did a John Rutter workshop at the concert hall in Nottingham, and I stood behind the basses. I didn't need to open my mouth. So I just stood there and just let it wash over me. It's lovely. I wish that more men would come though, really.
Yeah. Well, maybe from this.
When we get back to life, you need to come and visit, come as a guest, come and see what it's all about, come and feel it.
Yes. Yeah. Just feel the vibration. I love singing. I absolutely love singing, but, and this is, I'm hearing myself say this over the years. I've had a few people a little bit cruelly go, you have a terrible voice, don't you? You can't sing, don't you? And I've allowed that. I've allowed that to kind of sink in and almost stop me from singing. So,
I could tell you time and time again. I had a lady that came to me for singing lessons, and she was incredibly. She was shaking with the anxiety of having to sing in front of me. And she says, when I sing and I ever sing, particularly, it's usually church, because that's the only place I go to sing. Everybody looks at me and I said, you've got a very, very low voice.
Yeah.
That's what they're looking at. That's what they're turning around and saying. I mean, hymns aren't written for anybody to sing. Let's face it.
Yeah.
They're either too high or they're too low. So I will drop the octave and people will turn around. How are you a girl and you're singing that less? You're not out of tune. You've just got a very low voice. Come on, Karen Carpenter had a beautiful voice down there. Embrace it.
Yeah.
People are very rude about other people singing.
Yeah.
People are very rude about their own singing. People are rude. I heard somebody in the street say to a child, "Oh, stop singing, you'll make it rain." And I wanted to slap them, because that's not true, for a start. And people who are told this at an early age, it can stay with them. And like you say, they will believe it. Yeah. And if I teach private singing lessons or in my coaching group, if somebody's out of tune, I'll tell them, because what's the point in not telling them? There was a lady last night and she sang it out and she went, "Oh," I said, "Yes. What was wrong with that?" She went, "That was sharp." Said, "Yeah, well done. It's quite tricky to sing sharp." but you knew. So do it again. And she did it again and it was fine. Well, there we go. Oh, sorted. Well, I'm not going to pretend.
Yeah. And
it's learning to listen to yourself.
Yeah.
I've got this app called Pitch Tuner. I'm obsessed with it.
Oh.
So I'll go, "La, is that a C?" Now I want to go and check and see if it's a C.
I'll write that down.
I'm working on my la. I'm doing it. Seriously. La. No, it's a B. La. La. And you can see this thing's great. So you can see when I sing la, it's a bit wobbly. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit wobbly. If I played it on the piano, it's pure.
Yeah.
Okay. If you and I sang it together, it would wobble less. We had another person in. It wobbles even less. This is actual physical, visual proof that when we sing together, we sound better.
Yeah. And as we work together as communities, I did some work on this the other day. We are stronger because we bring together different skill sets, it's the same as music, isn't it?
It's the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Yeah. God, that's absolutely fascinating. Well, if you were going to say to people, do this at home, it will really help you, what would be your do at home type activity?
It's as simple as putting the radio on and singing along. There is a cracking karaoke app called Schmool. I daren't even download it because I would never get off it. Apparently, you can log in and you can go and duet with somebody on the other side of the world and record someone up. Yeah, it's quite something. I could say I daren't download it, but it's as simple as just sing. I mean, I sing with the children. I've noticed my children are 6 and 9, and I've noticed that when they sing harmony lines.
Oh.
And I don't think they know they're doing it. I don't. And I used to do that as a child, and I don't think I knew I was doing it.
Yeah.
So somebody said to me, "Oh, can you teach me how to do that?" And I said, "No, because I don't know how I do it." Sometimes I go to record a harmony piece, and I've thought about it and thought, "Oh, do you know what? I'm just going to do it," and I don't actually know what's going to come out of my mouth until it does, and it usually lands in the right place, or a right place, because there is no the right place in music.
Yeah,
there's definitely some wrong places.
Do you think so? You're when I asked you that question, the guidance was turn on the radio and just do it. I want to add into that: turn on the radio, do it, and dance, move at the same time.
I can't stop. I can't unput dancing anyway. I danced for years and years and years. So I love dancing. We always start my choir ones. We always start with some sort of dance, and it's to get the pulse into them, to get the beat. It's what you teach babies first.
Yeah,
it's all pulse based, and before you even go on to rhythm.
Yeah, you said something earlier about I think were you talking about a warm up, and we were talking about, and I went, "Oh, you're giving them permission."
Yes.
Was it a warm up that you were talking about?
Yeah. This is it. So we do some sort of physical dancey warm up, like Agadoo.
Yeah.
And nice yes, one. I'll go into corporate setting and have them all on screen doing a video, and you will be amazed at the amount of people who keep their camera on and actually do it. Or on a good day, Superman. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
silliness, but it's all got a beat to it.
Yeah.
It has got a purpose. I do a lovely one called by Fats and Small. Do you remember? Hey, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You're looking kind of down to me. And it's got a simple bit of what I call choreography. and it's got a nice message.
Yeah.
It's things like getting over, listen to what I say, got to turn around, turn your day around, and I used to teach that. Anything that I found that I used to teach in whole school singing assembly will work in a corporate setting with adults.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it's not, all right, you can do this if you want, or if you don't want to do it, you can sit out. No, get up, we're doing this, and we're off. So give them a choice. And I am consistently surprised by the fact that they actually do it.
It must break down barriers. It must, I don't know, it's just like bringing in that little bit of silliness. But what I said to you earlier was you give them permission to be silly, which is really important. But it must break down some barriers before...
Yeah, it does.
Just at the beginning.
I did some Christmas singing with a printing company quite locally. And there was one camera on the office where they were socially distanced with their dogs. I quite like the fact that the dogs joined in.
Yeah.
And then there were 3 girls on reception who were obviously in some sort of bubble. So they were together. They had a very good time. And then everybody else was at home. So it connected the office, the reception area, and all the people at home to be together just for that half an hour. And it was bonkers. They loved it.
There's a company in town, and I know somebody that's quite high up there, and I want to have a chat with her, and I'm gonna say you really need to get a choir going in your space.
And what I do with workplaces is I run a small package, which can be a set of rehearsals with a recording, or I'll run a one-off. Let's just do some lunchtime singing, or you can have a regular lunchtime singing. I've just had the British Association of Dermatologists have done a package. So they did 3 rehearsals and then their recording. They were so chuffed with their recording that they start a regular choir every fortnight now after Easter.
Perfect.
So they can see the benefits. They shared their results of their survey with me that people just said, I just forget about everything. And it's great. And I get to see my colleagues in a totally new light, always in a good way. And it is definitely bringing something that they feel they're missing. I think people are feeling that they're missing that connection with people. I mean, some people, my husband works from home now. He thinks it's great. He's just antisocially up there with the door shut. He pops down for lunch. It takes the kids around the park at 11 o'clock. That's his little routine. And it suits him, and it suits lots of people, but there's lots of people it doesn't suit.
Absolutely.
There's lots of people, particularly people who live on their own. You know, they want some sort of human connection that isn't a quiz, and it isn't a scavenger hunt, or it isn't a group bake-off. And singing's easy because we've got the instrument. You don't need to buy anything fancy. You just need to have the capacity to link up to Zoom, and for some people that is a challenge. And just kind of get on with it. And people really are letting their hair down.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Tell us the ICU story. It's a really cute little story there. Yes, the
ICU Liberty Singers. So I was on my sick bed recovering from COVID. This is the only time I get to do any thinking, is when I'm enforced to stop. I wanted to do something. I've got friends who work at the hospital. I wanted to do something, and I think, what can I do that's any use? I mean, I'm just not helpful. The only thing I can do is run singing. So I got in touch with Alison Pittard, who's the Dean at the Faculty of Intensive Care Medicine, after I spotted her on BBC News and thought,
there's the name.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And literally, I rang her up. I said, I want to do this. And she said, great. What do you want me to do? And I said, I want you to get on Twitter and get some sign-ups. So I gave 4 sessions for free just as well-being for any critical care workers working in intensive care. She popped it on Twitter, and within 48 hours, we've got 100 sign-ups.
Wow.
So we were flying. And it was amazing. But then a friend of mine got wind of what we were doing. Oh, you should rewrite a song. Jackie Shear said, let's rewrite Every Breath You Take. And then Alison said, well, let's see if we can get the rights to it. And let's see if we can release it as a single. And the record industry would, no, you really can't release it. So you've left it far too late. But you don't want to tell 3 ladies of a certain age that you can't do something, because we clearly can. And we did. And we did get it released as a single. Every Breath You Take, We Watch Over You was what we wrote about. And it had 225 separate vocal parts. And it was, there were tears when I first played it to them. They just cried. And it's they're on the brink of that. They're really quite highly emotional. And the next song we're recording at the moment is Fix You, which isn't a recording for release or anything. It's just for us, just internal use. And I said to them, I'm torn because it's a really sad song.
Yeah.
And do you want it? And I polled them, and 95% said, yeah. We need to feel sad.
Yeah.
We need to have that release.
Yeah.
And they've got that release together. And it's quite private within their community, what they talk about and stuff. But it's doing some good.
Yeah.
Yes, and we did release a single. It didn't make #1, but Sony and Sting gave all their royalties into the charity. And what they've done is they've created a charity for intensive care workers. They're calling it Renew. So it's for their recovery from COVID, and it will be spent on things that they have agreed are essential and necessary for them. Not, we've made this money, so you're all doing 10 weeks of yoga, or we've done this, and so you're going. There will be, there'll be conversations about how it gets spent. So we had a Just Giving page for that, and that, we raised a lot of money for that, which was brilliant, because people want to help. We want to do something, but I can't go and do a shift on the COVID ward. I'm not trained. I'm not qualified. I can't do it, but we can do this.
Yeah. And we'll definitely we'll share the link to the Just Giving page. So people want to access it, they can access it. For you, what would be, if people were going to take one thing away from this recording today, all about music and mental health and the connections and the community connections, what would you want them to take away?
I would say, if you don't believe the power of singing, give it a go. You can, seriously, there are community choirs absolutely everywhere. And of course, now that we aren't constrained by geography, I had a lady dialing from Dubai into my choir.
Wow.
I've picked up, yes, I've picked up singers from my old choir in Kent who've come back to me. People who've sent me, my auntie lives down in Devon. Can she join? Yeah, anybody can join. Yeah. What this means is, moving forward, when we do get back face to face, I will continue to have an online choir for my community. The ICU choir will always be online because they're across the UK. Yeah, the same with the dermatologists. So find a choir, give it a go. Lots of people offer free sessions, or you can come and join mine. It's hilarious, and everybody's so kind. We have a little tea break when people go off into their breakout rooms and chat. I don't know what they chat about. I don't go in the tea break rooms, but I let them get on with it. But it just keeps people sort of connected and feeling the love, really. But definitely give it a go, even if you just stick the radio on and have a sing-song.
Yeah, it's just so good for the body. So another question that has literally just popped into my head that I'm going to throw at you. There's always one of these in a recording. You'd be fine with it. You're still taking people on, yeah? Or yeah, okay.
I never stop. My doors are always open.
Good. I like that. And a little bit of a prediction. Have you predicted when you might be back face to face?
I think my big community choir, I think we're looking at September.
Yeah. Because
there's so many of them. And also we rehearse every other week. And I think the other thing I'm going to do is chop them in half and have two choirs that run this, one week, one the other. So I'll work every week, but they'll only attend every fortnight. One of those choirs will be what we call Zoom and Room, so the hybrid session. So I'll be broadcasting to the onliners at the same time. But within all this, it would be very easy just to have, we'll just have two choirs, and as long as I've got enough colours or parts on each choir, it's fine. But I've got a moral obligation to these people to keep their friendship groups intact. There's no point in breaking up the 6 green ladies. No, they won't come. The part of it is that they come to be together. So I've got to be incredibly sensitive about how I do this. I've already decided we'll have the West Bridgeford Liberty Singers Songbirds and the West Bridgeford Liberty Singers Nightingales. So I want to split them in half, but not make it sound like one choir was better than the other, or one choir was newer than the other, or anything was anything other than the other, because at some point I want them back together.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't, I have an obligation to my singers to keep them safe. It would be the absolute worst to go back too early. And create a mini sort of lockdown again for ourselves because we weren't careful enough. It's the mingling. I mean, I stay awake at night thinking about all these things. Right, I'm going to let the reds in at 7 and the yellows in at 10 and the blues in at, and it's going to have to be like that. But in some respects, it's highlighted lots of. I used to take cash on the door.
Yeah.
Not doing that anymore. Oh no, not now. I know they can all use PayPal, so they will pay, and they will have to book and turn up, and that is it. So I will get sort of monthly income. Whereas before, if I had a slack night where not many people came, that was a problem. Also, I used to create lyrics folders with all the printing. Not doing that anymore either. Now I know they can all access the lyrics that I put on the Facebook. They can do that themselves. So there will be shifts and changes that have occurred, and some of them for the better. I mean, really, I don't think we're going to realistically be able to have a tea break. I think we'll have to have a pause and say to people, bring your own refreshments and sort of stay seated around where you are to have them. But the getting up and the moving around, I mean, even if I split them in half and I only had 60, that's a lot of people.
A lot of people, yeah.
I'm quite cautious about it all, and I think I've got an obligation to be cautious. I'm going to have a lot of people who are dying to come back, and for one reason or another don't feel able to. Either they're shielding or they're anxious, and these are people that I'm not prepared to leave behind. They've supported me, they've stayed with me online, so we will be providing something for them as well at the same time. And I have a team to help me do all these things, although I think I'm going to have to hire somebody to do the Zoom and rooming, because quite frankly, the thought of dealing with 60 people and a computer is just a step too far for me.
Too much.
I mean, I'm quite happy at home. I've got my setup. I'm on it now. I wanted an adjustable table. I was thinking about, I need an adjustable table. No, I'm using the ironing board. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect.
I think probably your cautiousness as a leader is a good thing, because if you're leading from an area of cautiousness, then that you're kind of you're not spreading that across people, but you're taking account of everybody, aren't you?
Well, you've got to lead by example. So even on the Facebook groups, I say this is a positive space, and if you've got something negative to say, you say it to me. You say it to me. You can email me. You can call me. You can do anything, but do not put it in the group. And I had an instance recently where somebody, every session it's, what song did you enjoy singing most? So we vote on that. And somebody made a comment, I don't like singing this song. And I went back and said, so but which one do you like singing? And she made another comment, and I messaged her privately and said, I work very hard to keep this positive. I hope you understand, and she went, no, you are absolutely right. And she took the comment down, and it was totally fine. But I've said this from the start. With this is a celebratory place. This is nice comments. This is lovely comments, and then it kind of self-perpetuates. There was one lady she'd made a comment, and it was a couple of years ago now. Her house flooded. Oh my God, my house is flooded. I'm in such a mess. And I just sat back and watched singers who don't actually know her, but they're in the same choir. I've got a brush if you need it. Do you need any wellies? Do you want to come and stay at my house? All this help, and and I don't have to get involved. I just sat back and go, yes, this is lovely. This is community at its best.
Yeah, absolutely at its best. How beautiful to see that just unfold through something that you have created.
Yeah, it's very special.
It feels like that one partially landed, but you didn't quite want to take the responsibility for the beautiful community that you've created.
I have. Very lucky. Sorry, you froze. That's my excuse. You're having a bit robotic moment. Well, I created it, I started it, and they absolutely and utterly take it away themselves. I said this about every choir. Every choir I start is my choir for about one session, and then it's ours. It's very quickly ours. And that's the same in the corporate as well. That they all take the name of a Liberty Singers. It's the ICU Liberty Singers. We don't know what we're going to call the dermatologist choir yet. I want to call it the Skinny Liberty Singers, but I don't think it's going down very well.
I love that. Kari, thank you so much for your time yet again, for your insight into music and mental health and how it connects and how it resonates and all of that about community. Just thank you. I really hope that people listen to this and step into the world of music in whatever the way they want to.
Come to the music family. It's just there, isn't it? It's all there for you.
It just kind of feels like it's a part of everybody and I'm not sure that we get that. I think people think that they have to be musical, or that there should be a musical bone in their body. And I'm like, no, it's music. It resonates with everybody in different ways and different types.
I taught a music theory course last week to some of my Liberty singers, and I said to them, I'm going to show you why you don't need to know this as a singer, and also why you actually know quite a lot of it already intuitively from singing together in a choir.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of, oh yeah, oh, is that how that works? There's a lot of revelation. I wanted to demystify music theory. It was interesting to do.
How fascinating. You can see why it's a subject in school. It's not very often I say that. But you can see why it's a subject in school.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, it breaks my heart. When I left primary school teaching, I was the specialist music teacher, and I wasn't replaced. We were lucky in that school. We had a specialist art teacher, PE, ICT, Spanish, and music, which is very, very unusual in a primary school. But my role didn't get fulfilled, and it's such a joyful, it's such a sharing role. I used to take I remember my first school I taught at, I used to take singing assembly on a Wednesday afternoon, and one day it was sunny. It was so sunny. So let's take singing assembly in the playground. And of course, as parents are arriving to pick their children up, we're there singing our heads off, and it's wafting all over the place. And there's a whole row of parents just smiling and looking happy. The sound of children singing, it always cheers people up.
Yeah, just beautiful.
I'm looking forward to getting back to doing some gigs in our local pub. That's where we sing the best. I approached him and said, can we come sing in your pub? There'll be about 80 of us. He said, yeah. And then we arrived on the night, and he said, didn't think you actually meant really 80. Oh, what did you think? There are 80 of us, and all of our friends. We ran out of gin and white wine. I mean, I don't know what they expect with a load of middle-aged women in Bridgeford.
Thank you so much. We will record again in the future, I'm absolutely sure. But thank you.
Thank you.
So that's it. That's another recording. Please pass these on to people that you think that might help. Please step into the world of music, because it's a part of us, and it really does resonate. So please do that. Thank you to Home Radio for the production on these podcasts. Don't forget, you can get Home Radio on. Let me see if I can get this right. It's the DAB digital radio. There's two apps. There's an iOS and an Android app, and you can get it on Alexa as well. So please tune in and listen to them. You just have to shout enable Alexa, apparently. So if you've got an Alexa going, I might have just sent it ballistic. If we're not covering subjects that you want us to cover, then please message in. Invincible You is all about personal growth. I want people to take away from these sessions and take something and grow from it. And through music and resonating and connecting with our bodies, we can grow. The podcasts are available on Apple, so if you want to leave us a review, that would be great as well. And that's it, and I'll be back next week with another recording. Thank you for everybody's engagement in this. Thank you again, Kari. You're always amazing. Please be kind to yourself, and please be kind to everybody around you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.